Hey YouTube watchers and subscribers from Slide Nerd, this is Views over here. In this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to make a simple list view in Android. In the last video, I showed you guys how a list view works, what are the different concepts involved in making a list view. Here, let's go ahead, get this list view up and running. So here, I have my list test project in Android Studio, which has a main activity where I have written nothing right now. And there is the activity underscore main.xml again, which has nothing. Now there are two ways you can implement a list view. You can have a list view like any other view, or you can actually extend a class called list activity and make a list view. Now here I'm gonna cover the simple approach, which is obviously not having the list activity inside our application. So here I'm gonna add a list view first inside the design. So I go to design over here, I go to containers at the bottom, and there you go, there's the list view. Just drag and drop it over here, the top left. So at this point there is some dummy text being shown over here just to show that there is a list view inside. But if you go to the code over here, there is nothing, just the width, height. There is an ID which Android has given, and then you have the align pattern, top is true and right left is true, right? So let's actually go to the main activity now. The first step was to put the list view inside the XML. The second step is to bring that list view from XML to Java. For that, what I'm gonna do is create a simple reference over here. So in list view L, as you guys remember, the method find view by ID always helps you to bring a view from XML to Java. So I'm gonna simply initialize this L equals to find view by ID r.id.listView. There you go. And at this point you probably get an error saying blah 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 incompatible types. So you have to simply press Alt Enter and say change cast to Android widget list view, and that does the automatic typecasting for you. Because it returns a general view object, you need to typecast it to a list view object so that you can store it inside L. Now the next step is to define the data source. If you guys remember, you can read from a database or you can read from a strings array. Here in my case I'm gonna simply make a strings array over here, and that I'm gonna use that as a data source by saying string. So I'm gonna have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. inside this string array. Let me go and put those values in. Alright, so here in our second step we have created the data source. The next step is to actually create an adapter. If you guys remember, the list view is made up of two parts. One part is responsible for taking the data from the data source. The second part is actually responsible for displaying the data. Our list view is responsible for displaying the data, but there is a list adapter that is responsible for taking these values and actually converting them into a single view, right? So for that I'm going to use something called an array adapter, because here what I have is an array. I want to read data from an array, so an array adapter is gonna do that for me. And as you guys can see, it is using generics over here, so I'm gonna say simply an array adapter that reads the data of type string, right? And then I'll call it adapter over here, and then new array adapter. So there are three parameters that you have to give to the array adapter. The first one is your context itself, which you can simply say this. The second one is what defines how a single row should appear inside your list view. In the last video I have talked about this in very detail. You guys can go ahead and refer there. For here I'll tell you this: there are two options you can have. One, either define your own layout and say that this is the appearance of a single row, or use some predefined layout that Android has already provided us. So here for this case I'm gonna show you guys what different options Android has, and we are gonna use one of those Android options. And the third parameter over here is simply the data, which is days in our case. And so the second option, layout. How should a single row appear? Will there be only a text view inside? Will there be an image view and a text view inside? And what is the appearance? For that, let me show you something. Alright, so here I'm inside my Android SDK folder. If you go to the SDK inside, you guys will notice there's platforms, tools, and so many stuff. You go to platforms, take Android 17, which is the latest at the time of making this video. If you go here, go to data, actually all of them have these folders. Alright, now you will notice something very familiar. There is something called RES, and if you go to RES you will see a lot of things that look very familiar to what you guys have been doing all this time. Now just the way you define colors, appearances, string, style, and so many things, Android also has a lot of things predefined which you can directly use inside your applications. For example, you go to layout and take a look at this. There's a whole bunch of layouts over here, out of which I'm interested in using a very simple text view. And if you guys notice, there is one thing which says simple list item underscore one. Let's actually open this and see what this is. Alright, so here I have opened my simple list underscore item underscore one, and if you guys notice, there's actually nothing but just a text view inside that uses certain attributes. Now exactly this is what I want, that each of my row should be a simple text view. So I'm gonna use this layout which Android has already defined, rather than going ahead and making my own text view inside a separate .xml file. But of course I will show you guys how to make your own stuff as well, but for now we are gonna simply reuse what Android has already offered us. So here I need to use that simple list item one which I just showed you guys, which is Android's predefined layout file with a simple text view inside. For that I'm gonna say android dot r dot layout dot simple list item one. Now remember, your stuff is inside r.layout, but when Android has many layout files defined, they are inside the android.r.layout folder. Very simple, right? So at this point we have everything almost defined for us. Here is the context, then we are defining how one single row should appear with this r.layout, and then we simply have the data source. So the next step is to actually set the adapter by saying l.setAdapter, and we need to say that, hey ListView, here's the guy who's actually responsible for fetching the data. It is this guy called adapter. For that we use this method which says l.setAdapter or the ListView.setAdapter. At this point we're almost done. Actually, just to show you guys, if you go and run this, let me show you what happens. Alright, just like I told you guys, as you guys can see, there's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and all those things coming over here. Let me exactly get ahead and tell you what happened exactly. First we had the data source which was inside this string arrays, that is string days, right? And then we had this array adapter which exactly told how one row should appear. Now here if you notice, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they are all separate rows. Each row is actually a text view, and that text view was defined inside this android r.layout.simple list item one. So first you told that how one thing should look, and then you simply replicated the same look across all the 7 things. That's how the list view work. But now if you click on this, nothing actually happens. Click on Monday, Sunday, nothing actually happens. For that we need an event handling mechanism, right? For that we are going to use something called on item click listener. I'm going to say l.set on item click listener, and I'm going to simply say that this activity is the guy who's going to handle what happens when the list view is clicked. For that I'm going to pass this over here inside the bracket, right? It's going to give me an error at this point saying blah 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 doesn't implement. So here I'm going to go ahead, say implements on item click listener. So at this point again you have an error saying this methods are not implemented. Remember, whenever you implement an interface, there are certain methods that need to be overridden. For that I'm gonna go here, press alt enter at this point, implement methods, and click OK, and there you go, our method is right here on item click. Alright, so here we have our on item click method. So here there are 4 things inside this. If you guys notice, the first parameter is the list view that was clicked, or you can say the main list view in our case. It is our list view L in our case, and then the second parameter is the row which was clicked. Now remember, in our case each row is a text view, and that means this object actually contains a reference to the text view that was clicked by the user. And then you have this int I, which is nothing but the position. For example, 0 is the first row, 1 is the second row, and so on. And this long is nothing but the ID of a text view that was generated by your system. Now remember, this doesn't matter as long as you're using simple data sources. When you use databases, you're gonna see something else over here, and we'll get to that later when we talk about databases. For now, let's just take this view. I know very well that this view is the text view that represents what the user clicked, right? For that I'm gonna simply say text view. I'll make a temp over here and say view over here, right? Next I have to typecast this. For that I'll say alt enter, cast to text view, and then we are done. So at this point what I want to do is I want to simply display which item was clicked. For that I'll use a toast over here, get text. Now this is gonna give me the text of that text view which was clicked by the user, and here I'm gonna again use empty brackets over here, and then I'm gonna say I. Remember, I gives me the position, right? Int ID, and simply have toast dot length underscore short, and ultimately say dot show. So at this point everything is ready. When the user clicks on the list view, this method will be called by your Android system, and all this code written inside by you guys is gonna run. So let's go ahead and see how this works the second time by clicking run at the top. Alright, so here things are running once again, but this time hopefully they are responsive. If you click on Monday over here, it says Monday and 1. As you guys can notice that 1 is the position. If I click on Sunday, the position is given by 0, which is my int I over here, and then this view was that text view that the user clicked, and because of which I could extract the text out of that by saying temp.getText, and that is the reason why you're seeing Sunday and Monday in the toast. And you go and click on Wednesday something, and there you go, Wednesday 3, Thursday, and there you go, Thursday 4. So I hope you guys have understood something out of this video. It is a very simple and starting video to the list view. There are a lot of complex things that you can do with the list view. I'm gonna go into them starting with the next video. So if you like what you saw, please subscribe to my channel. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Have a nice day.